Hello guys, so let's take a look at ISO and grain. Let's see what they both are and what their relationship is. Now ISO is the sensitivity of the chip in the camera. So the more sensitive it is, the more light that's going to get to it. So if you put your ISO up, you're going to get more light on the sensor, your final image will be brighter. So if we're taking a picture in a dark situation, we can push the ISO up, which will not affect the aperture or the shutter, but it will still make the picture brighter. So why don't we push ISO up high all the time? The reason for this is because of grain. So grain is the little dots you get in your picture when the ISO is too high. If we're shooting at a low ISO, around 1 to 200, the image quality is going to be very good and we're going to get very little grain. As you go up higher, you'll start to lose quality. Now this quality won't get noticeable until about 800 or 1000 ISO, and as you go up further and further, it will become more and more noticeable. Now, the amount of grain you get will vary slightly from camera to camera. For example, my D750 here, I know I can shoot around 1250 ISO, and I know I'm not going to have a major problem with grain, but as I start pushing further and further past that, I'm going to start having issues. So on a nice sunny day, we're going to want to get the best quality we can get, and we're going to want to put the ISO down as low as possible. So around 100 to 200 ISO, we'll have a really nice quality picture. As it starts getting cloudy, or if you want to move inside near a window, you might want to start putting the ISO up to around 400 or 800. And then if we're looking at darker situations, maybe in a corner of a room where there's no light, we might want to start looking at around 1000 to 1600 ISO. This is where we're going to start struggling a bit with the grain, so we're really going to try to avoid that. If we move into a situation where it's darker, you're going to want to put the ISO up, and we're going to have to put up with a little bit of grain in our pictures. So for example, I used to shoot football in a stadium at night time, and I'd use floodlights to light the picture. Now where I was using a 300mm lens, I needed a nice fast shutter. I didn't really want to go below 1/400th of a second in speed. I was shooting at the widest aperture I could, which at the time was 2.8, and the pictures were going to be too dark at a decent ISO. And sometimes I'd even find myself shooting at 1600 ISO. Now the image quality wasn't perfect, but I was still getting a fairly decent image, and at the time I was shooting with a D3 and they were very good with their ISO sensitivity. So here's a picture of a sloth I took at London Zoo. Now again, I shot this image at a high ISO. This one was shot at 1250. Now the reason I did this is because I was shooting at the widest aperture I had at the time, which was 2.8, and I wanted as fast a shutter as possible. Now as I was using a 100mm lens, ideally I would have liked to have shot this at 1/250th of a second, just to eliminate motion blur completely. But as I didn't want to push the ISO up any further, and I couldn't drop my aperture down, I decided to leave my shutter speed at 1/160th of a second. And to avoid camera shake, I just had to hold my camera very still. So when people were shooting film, sometimes grain was actually something that they liked to see. It gives a bit more character to the picture, but as people moved on to digital photography, it just doesn't look very good quality anymore. So now, I'm going to take you through some examples of some pictures. I'm going to leave the camera on automatic mode to make sure the exposure stays the same, but I'm going to change the ISO to show the difference in quality. Now if we look at this picture, I took this at 100 ISO, and we can see here the image quality is very high. As I go up to 400 ISO, we can actually still see the image quality here is high again. And then if we look at the 800 ISO, we can probably not tell any difference between the quality. So I start going up into 1000, you might be able to start seeing some grain appear. And then as we go up into 1600, we can see it's not quite as clear as we would like. And then we're going to go right up into 3200, and we can see we've got a lot of grain here. And if I push it up into the highest settings I possibly can go, we can see this picture is pretty much unusable. So what we want to take away from this video is that the lower ISO we shoot, the better quality the image will be. And the only reason we'll start to go up in ISO is because we don't get enough light in the picture and we need to increase the exposure of the picture. Now I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me through the community group. So thanks a lot guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.